Hello and welcome. Here we have the Audi R8 LMS Ultra. You can see the specs there. And we are going to race this at Porsche Test Track, the short circuit. And this is going to be more focused on beginner tips. And I'll get to what's going on at the bottom there in a bit. So I'm going to focus on tips for people who haven't done this before, because this is often the car that you try it in first, because this is the cheapest car to fully upgrade and realistically farm at this track. And what is farming? Farming is when you do a race for the purposes of earning currency. So don't go crazy about me taking off-track cuts. This is about the purposes of earning currency, because as you know, you need R dollars and you need gold. So this is about how you drive a race as long as you want to drive it. That the race only ends when you want it to end. So what are my settings? Well, you're going to need to have these settings. All of my assists are off. I use tilt B controls, and steering sensitivity, that's a personal choice. I have my sensitivity on 2, but you know what, guys? I used everything from 0 to 10. So when I first went to no assist driving, I was actually on sensitivity 10, and I slowly lowered it over time as it felt natural to do so. So what's the difference between 0 and 10? Well, 10 means you do very little movements, you get a lot of action on screen. 0 is the exact opposite. You do a lot of movements to get a little bit of action on screen. So here's my assessment of that. The lower the sensitivity, the better the control you're going to have in the corners, and the more speed you're going to be able to carry through them. Because when you have higher sensitivity, there's a greater chance of getting twitchy in the corners and having your car step out because you got a bit twitchy. So lower sensitivity helps you to have smoother corners. Now, if you have it super low, you just have to do so much movement. I have several of my friends who run sensitivity 0, and some of these are the best guys in the world. But I know some people who don't use that sensitivity, and they're still some of the top guys in the world. But you'll more often find lower steering sensitivity amongst the top time trial drivers. But that doesn't mean it's a rule. It's whatever works for you. A big tip I've got for you is that, well, actually a big tip I have for you is this video in the top right-hand corner. In that video, I address how to get used to driving without assists. One of the biggest tips when you want to turn that steering assist off, increase your sensitivity by 2 or 3. That's what I had to do, and that helped. Now, the cars until their perpetual point counter is getting lower and lower. So what's this all about? People always ask me, how long does it take me to hit the perpetual point? Okay, well, you might be saying, well, ME7, what is the perpetual point? That's the point of the race where you could go as long as you want to go, because the cars will just keep appearing and appearing nice and close. They've got a big crash, catch up, and they're still all there nice and close. At this point, they're starting to space out more and more. So you'll notice that this started at the number 42. A friend of mine named One Shot in the game noticed that it takes 42 cars to reach the perpetual point. So this time I decided to display it as a countdown instead of a count up. So it started when I passed the first car, but I'm calling that the 42nd car because I've got to pass 42 cars to get to the perpetual point. So we're winding down here. Now, you might notice that on the first lap I had I think it was about 12 cars. And now it's maybe 3 cars a lap. So this is what happens if you aren't taking any cuts, in a normal endurance race, it gets harder and harder. There's more distance between the bots, and eventually you just run out of cars to pass. Well, this is what happens. What you're going to see really soon is what happens after that point. After the point where the bots are just so far apart you can't see anymore. This is what happens. It's kind of a weird magical formula. So it's 42 cars, and you definitely have to do that. You got to do it quick. If you try to spread this out over 50 kilometers, you'll never get there. So that's the one common thread, is you can't just, ooh, that was a dumb mistake. Okay, you're going to see how much that cost me. See that car there? He's going to drive off. I might not see him for a whole lap. Now, I'm extremely experienced at this. A lot of people find this impossible their first try. Don't feel bad. This was impossible my first few tries. Oh, he's not too far off. That's good. This wasn't possible my first few tries. Some of that is because you got to get used to how you can drive this track. Like you might have noticed, I'm driving in areas of this track that you think are off track, but they're not. And like this bus stop section, look how straight I can take that. That was all on track. How do we know that was all on track? Well, my timer never turned red. And here, I've just passed the last car I need to pass. So therefore, coming up, this should be the beginning of the Perpetual point. If that's true, there should be a car very close to this one in front of him, and another car very close to that one. There you go. Now we know that it's definitely true. I've tested this at so many tracks. So now, a few things have happened. Every single car from this point forward will be faster than a fully upgraded car. Now you might say, well, how can that be? You're catching them. That's because they take the bus stop, that funny section we just went through, they take that really dumb. They do it as a left corner, right corner, left corner. I don't do that. I just do one big arcing turn. We're going to focus on that on the very next time through here. Now you want to be careful not to get all damaged. And you're going to see me doing this once in a while, checking for a cracked windshield. No cracks yet that I can see. So that means I still have maximum speed, maximum acceleration, brakes, and grip. And see this over here? Not off track. My distance marker didn't turn red. Okay, bus stop section coming up, all right? Let's watch how they take this, watch how I take it. I just kind of extend the arc of the corner, whereas they go left, left. They do 4 turns, I do 1. And that is a big problem at any bus stop type of a section, at any point in this game. Steering assist high won't let you do what I just did. It'll fight you. Steering assist low will let you do it. Oh, that was a little too aggressive. Bet you I cracked my windshield there. Oh yeah, baby. So why do you have to have all assists off? For that very reason. Also, when you're off track, steering assist is going to fight you to get back on track. Okay, you're going to notice me do something now. I don't care about who I hit anymore. I don't care. Once you get maximum damage, you can't get any worse than that. So no matter how reckless I am now, my grip won't lose anymore, my brakes won't lose anymore, my top speed won't get any less, and my acceleration won't get any less. This is as bad as it gets. Doesn't matter how much more damage my car gets. I could have both taillights smashed out, rear window smashed out, hood horribly bent up, radiator smashed up. Yes, you believe it or not. I'll actually show you that. Front bumper hanging off, rear bumper hanging off. Still there, but it might be hanging almost off. And it won't matter. There's only 2 stages to damage. So I didn't want to hit that guy. It's wrecking my average speed. It's wrecking my lap times. Why does that matter? I'll get into that in a little bit. But here you can see that I've reached the Perpetual point, and a lot of people get right about to this distance and they run out of bots and they say, wow, this is all fake. You did something. You hacked the game. You did this. You did that. Not true at all. If I was with you right now, I could take your device and do this, no problem. I've done that to people several times. I've played this on a Samsung Note 4, Samsung S7, iPhone XS, iPhone XS Max, and also an iPhone 7. And always the same thing. I put the settings the way I like them and I just drive. It's always the same thing. So it's not about my device. I don't have to do anything to it. This is what everyone can do this. It's just a matter of getting used to this type of driving. One of the bigger challenges is that the first few laps, the bots are so horribly in your way. And then they adjust, and you got to keep adjusting to them and getting around them. You really don't want to get any damage until after the Perpetual point. The hardest part of the race, right before the Perpetual point. Because after their Perpetual point, believe it or not, they are faster than a fully upgraded car, but they take the corners so bad, and there's just so many of them. Like, look at this. So coming up here, this is where you see, even if I wasn't damaged, they're going to drive away from me. And that's how you know that they are faster than a fully upgraded car. Because I'm in the gas before them, yet they drive away from me. Same with this. They'll drive away from me at this section here. So it's easier to show this at a track like Le Mans or Silverstone, tracks that have big, long, straight sections. Look at that hood. Already really bent up. You'll see. It'll get worse. And I'll start having a bit of fun through the bus stop like that. Kick my back end out purposely. So into the bot, so he kicks my back end back around and I don't lose any speed going through the bus stop. So sometimes I'll kind of drift through the bus stop and let my rear end hang out. Same with this right here. I was purposely on the brakes late, using the bot as a additional brake. Because at this point it just doesn't matter. I can't get any more damaged. Now, this video is part of a series. So I haven't done this race for a long time. First endless endurance race I ever did was in this car, first video I made. Back then I wasn't talking in my video, so it was lots of just on-screen text. And some people found that so annoying. Then I switched over after a while to my voice. First voice video I did was actually at this track, but in the Porsche 918 RSR concept. Put a link up to that video right now, top right hand corner. In that video I specifically show you why assists don't work here. Brake assist, low and high, ruin this race, can't do it. Traction control, believe it or not, it actually isn't too bad here, but the huge problem with traction control is just brakes, okay? So when you lose traction, it comes on too late to really help you, and then stays on way too long, eating up all sorts of time, ruining your race. So traction control, one of the biggest speed killers in the game. Brake assist high, biggest killer of speed in the game. Now believe it or not, brake assist low is really hurting you, because brake assist low always comes on too late. So then you think, oh, I need traction control because I'm losing traction in the corners. No, you don't need traction control. You just need to be braking earlier, because brake assist low is always braking too late. Brake assist high, always braking too early. Now here's what's weird. Brake assist low sometimes comes on when you don't need brakes at all. Isn't that bizarre? So at Hockenheimring, for instance, there are, well, in some cars, there's actually 3 corners where brake assist will come on where you don't need brakes. There are several tracks like that. And that's just one more reason why you really should ditch the brake assist. Now that's really hard to do if you're used to it. So here's the big tip, okay? Really pay attention to this one. Learn one track at a time. So if you've been driving with brake assist low, you know when those brakes are coming on because you've seen it happening. You need to get on the brakes sooner than that, all right? Only learn one track at a time, okay? Don't try to learn all the tracks at the same time. It's too much. It's just too daunting. So just try to learn the braking points at one track at a time. And once you get comfortable there, try to learn another one. Here's a myth, okay? One of the number one myths. I have to learn every single track with every single car. Not true, okay? Learn the track in one car, and then it's just a matter of tweaking the braking points and the acceleration points. In some cars, like this car, is a really nicely balanced car. It's got nice grip and nice acceleration, brakes, and top speed. In some cars, like, well, a lot of hypercars or supercars, you get like the Hennessy Venom, okay? The grip looks like it's good, but then you start driving the car and you're like, oh my gosh, this car is just so slippery and it just slides on forever. That's because the top speed and the acceleration are way beyond the ability of the grips and the brake. So those cars, you've got to get on the brakes sooner and get back to the gas later. But it's basically the same braking points. In cars like this particular car, where it's a really balanced race car, there's going to be the odd braking point you can totally skip. So that's the only difference. And how do you learn that? Trial and error, or by watching braking point videos from time trials. I got piles of them. I think I've got like 40 or 50 videos in my time trials playlist. I'll throw that up in the top right hand corner now. You can learn tons about braking points in different tracks by watching that. Now, for what I'm doing right here, the braking points, some of it would apply. Like coming up, certainly wouldn't apply because I'm not going to brake. I'm going to fly through this corner. You'll notice sometimes I stay full throttle. But that time I stayed full throttle, which is unusual. But this is where tilt B controls are critical. When you lose traction with tilt B, you'll notice that I'll lift off the throttle, steer into the skid, regain control, and then I can get back to the gas and get out of there. Sometimes I get back onto the brakes for a bit. With tilt A, like think about it, if you've driven a real car, you know this. If you lose traction, slamming on the brakes is just going to make you slide more because you're already sliding. Flooring it will make you slide more. That's what tilt A is doing to you. It's either pedal to the metal or brakes to the floor. That's it. So tilt B gives you a third option, which is coasting. And if you've been trained for winter driving, your driving instructor will tell you that coasting is to your advantage. So take your foot off the gas. Even better, throw it in neutral. Can't do that here, but that's kind of what's happening when you take your finger off the accelerator in this car. Now, I am doing a versus video. So this is part of a series, like I said. This is going to be versus, so it's going to be the Audi R8 LMS Ultra, Porsche 918 RSR Concept, Ferrari FXXK, and Koenigsegg Agera RS. Now yes, I know exactly what you're saying. That is a pretty stupid comparison video because the Koenigsegg and Ferrari are substantially faster than this car. That's true. But what about the other factor? They are substantially more to fully upgrade. So I'm going to do a comparison video where we look at all of that. And a link to that's going to be at the end. Because this is the cheapest car to fully upgrade and get into this race. And it's very beneficial. So one thing we're going to be looking at the end here is fame per minute. That is the number you really need to be looking at. But also costs is very important. But fame per minute tells you how much you're earning for every minute you're driving. And then you can just go, okay, well, if I'm going to drive an hour, this is how much I can earn. And fame per minute always needs to be the base number, not including agent or anything else. But then, so you add the agent, you double your fame per minute. Do it on 100% bonus fame day, you quadruple your fame per minute. Same thing with R earnings. Hire the manager, you double your R earnings. Hire the manager on 180% bonus R day, and you're getting 5.6 times normal R pay. So that's where this kind of racing is so critical, is on those days, because on a bonus fame or bonus R day, you only get one race. Well, what if you extend that race by 1, 2, 3 hours? I've gone as far as 6 hours, and I once got 3.9 million R and just over 2.5 million fame. That was a super rare day where you actually got 8 times fame. Wow. So to do a really good comparison, I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to log the end time of this race right when I hit 50 kilometers. I used to come to a stop and then wind down the race, but that's not giving you a really accurate fame per minute, because I want to give you something you could extrapolate to 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, 500 kilometers. Now, my first lap was slower because I had to accelerate, but that's just partially part of one lap. That's going to give us a pretty good metric. And now that will be my comparative data. So if you're looking at this, you know I'm coming to a stop really soon. By the way, one more quick thing. Endurance races like this have never been this easy because of the new bot program. The bots now substantially slow down as soon as you pass them, majority of the time. If you pass a bot in the corner, he's going to go kamikaze and take you out, but that's pretty rare. It does happen though. Okay, I'm going to be ending this race right here. So let's take a look at the damage. I said I was going to show you this. Look at this. Look at that front bumper. And the hood's all smashed up. Brake rotors are red hot. One taillight broken out. I still have the rear window. Usually I have no rear window at like 100 or 200K. And check out the radiator. It is totally smashed up. So I went a little bit over. I'm going to take that back to 50K. Now we're going 16 times regular speed and getting on to the final numbers. Actual race time was 18 minutes and half a second. Based on that, we can calculate the following. My average speed was 166.6 kilometers per hour. I earned 683 fame per minute, 3,956 R dollars per minute. No agent, no manager, not bonus fame day, not bonus R day. Those numbers can boost a lot on those days. Please like, please subscribe. Join me again in the future for other videos. And here's the links.